I have been working to save 227 Duffield for the last 15 years or so. We have in New York, I think it's important to remember, we don't have Confederate flags flying around here because we don't need them. We have symbols of the slave trade right around us. This city was built on trade with the slave trade. This city right here is the financial capital of the slave trade. The city actually wanted to secede because the pro-slavery sentiments were so strong in New York City. Brooklyn was a separate city, also was highly connected to the slave trade. A few people resisted. I think it's important to mention that very few people resisted slavery. Very few people would call themselves abolitionists. And those who did risked their lives. And the people who lived at 227 risked their lives to fight the system that was the accepted system of their city. And that, they need to be remembered. We have a lot of things to remember the slave owners in New York City. A lot of our streets are named after slave owners. We just want a little tiny bit of the city left for the people who resisted it. Downtown Brooklyn was a very interesting neighborhood. So Thomas Truesdale was an abolitionist. His wife was also part of the female abolitionists. She supported and stood with some of the early feminists. And so this is a bigger story than just fighting slavery. This was fighting for women's rights and for really for empowerment for the people who needed to be empowered. So we're not asking for a lot. We want one little house left, one little remnant of this resistance to slavery. And that's why we think 227 Duffield is worth not just for itself, but for what it represents. So, I'm just here standing with this beautiful coalition of people. Anybody who wants to join this fight, you are free to join us. This is for anybody who wants to stand up fight against slavery, because it continues to this day, and that's what this fight represents. Thank you very much.
Can you spell your name?
Yes, spell your